Make way for the bad guy!
What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crowd Pleaser, the talk show that brings you the inside scoop on what it takes to be a male entertainer in today's world. I'm your host, Cesar the Crowd Pleaser, and today I'm going to be trying something a little different and actually give you guys a solo show where I'm going to be going through the list of all the acts I've created over the years that I've been stripping in chronological order. Tell you a little bit about them and how they came to be and whatnot. But of course, a little bit of housekeeping. First, let's talk about patreon.com/crowdpleaser. All right, what this is where you can give back to the show. You feel like we've done a little service to your life, made your life a little bit better, a little more interesting, or learned a little bit about the industry to help you with the stripper you might like. So you want to give back a little bit, that's cool. Come on down to Patreon, like I said earlier, /crowdpleaser. You can donate as little as $1 a month and receive all kinds of great perks. Like, for example, patrons of this episode can actually log into their Patreon account and see the not only uncut version of this show, but also the video feed for this show. So definitely check that out. Next is brought to you by LeBaire Dallas, where I work at 5 nights a week. All right, 7 to 2. Anything you're in the mood for. You just want to get out of the house, see a show, relax, get excited, party with your friends. LeBaire Dallas is where it's at. We got 17 guys of all different shapes, sizes, and flavors, and there's always going to be something for everybody. And, you know, if you're a dude that's listening in and want to try your luck, every Thursday night we have our amateur night where you can go on stage and see if you got what it takes to join the roster. And last but not least is my reality show, Cesar's Crowd Pleaser Contest. All right, I'm in the midst of editing right now. All the footage, raw footage, has gone to me because we had a successful Kickstarter. And hopefully I will be able to get the first episode up and running out on YouTube in the upcoming month. And then we're pretty much the best of the best out of San Antonio hard bodies, and LeBaire Dallas will be competing on a weekly basis. And you, the listener/viewer, get to go to my website and vote on who's going to stay on the show and which entertainer is going to be sent home. So definitely check that out. Be on the lookout. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So I have the list. It may be a one-part series. I might be able to squeeze everything into one episode. I may not. If that's the case, I'll end up breaking it up into 2 episodes because I like to try to keep it about roughly 30-35 minute episodes. All right. So first things first is Sharp Dressed Man. All right, as some of you might have seen, this is pretty much a pretty standard act that is given to every individual that starts at the club, more or less, because we are under the assumption that you at least have a suit. And what woman doesn't like seeing a man? Excuse me, it's after work, so I'm a little tired. All right, so what woman doesn't like seeing a man in a well-dressed suit? The only drawback to this is 9 out of 10 times guys are wearing sneakers, but you kind of find whatever suit you have made. Hopefully you can wear tearaways or whatnot, and you just come out to ZZ Top's Sharp Dressed Man, and you kind of milk the song, play around with the lyrics for about the first minute or so, and then they change song and you go ahead and strip. Every basic guy had it. I had it for maybe about 2 months. So you keep that kind of as your first opener, because when you're first starting out, you're going to go up in the first 3 guys of the list, which means you're going up at anywhere between 7:20 to 7:45. Just something to get you on stage for the first 3 or 4 ladies through the door is good enough. Shortly after that, we had an individual entertainer by the name of Cole, and he ended up he was working for, I think, roughly about 3 months, maybe a little less than that, when he ended up moving on to greener pastures. I believe he got a day job and wanted to go full time, and his act was Top Gun. He did it really well, but obviously it was a club act, and when he quote-unquote retired, he went ahead, and Alex, our owner, went ahead and decided to give it to me because I was the new guy and needed a primetime act. So it kind of worked out a little bit. Yeah, it's Top Gun, it's Navy aviation, but it still worked out well because I had the military bearing and discipline. So at first I went ahead and did the act, and there's actually 2 parts to this. So first I went ahead and did the act as is, and nothing on Cole. but the uniforms were pretty crummy, and I believe they were handed down to him as well, so it wasn't his fault. The the officer hat that goes with the uniform was actually a Coast Guard hat, believe it or not. The dress whites were fine, didn't have anything special on them. They were just dress whites. And then the two backup dancers actually came out in green flight uniform or flight suits, and they just simply chopped off the sleeves. One fit someone of my size, and one was significantly larger. And this act, everyone, the two flight officers would come out, and they would kind of start to the whole intro of Top Gun, and then they would introduce me as the commander for the evening. I'll come out in the dress white, and we proceeded to sing "You've Lost That Loving Feeling." And shortly after that, once you've lost that loving feeling, I'm sorry, you come out, we salute, and then myself and another gentleman will go through the "She's Lost That Loving Feeling" skit, the actual, hey, the bet is $20, so on and so forth. Then we'll come out, we'll walk off stage, come back out to the actual "She's Lost That Loving Feeling," and then when the act is done, then the "Take My Breath Away," I believe, would play, and I would strip out of that and hand out roses to the crowd. That worked for a while, but eventually I felt like it was starting to get it could be done a little bit better. So I went ahead and purchased better uniforms, legit aviation uniforms, which cost a pretty penny, and dress whites for all three entertainers participating. Went ahead and got all the ribbons, all the shoulder boards, all that stuff. Made it really nice. Made all three sets of pants tearaways. Now this, I will admit, I stole from Chippendales. We ended up going through a Chippendale show while they were in town, and they didn't necessarily have Top Gun, but they had a military dress white act and number, and they all ended up stripping out of it, and I thought that was really neat. So I went ahead and incorporated that into the act. So when I revised it, I made all three guys have tearaways. I purchased both American flag Speedos as well as camouflage underwear. And for the most part, everything stays the same as far as the skit goes. But then when we were supposed to come out for Take My Breath Away, what I did instead is incorporate having a woman on stage. So we're actually singing to her about losing that loving feeling. And after she's lost, we come out to "Painted on My Heart" by The Cult. It was a good classic. I first want to say I heard it in Gone in 60 Seconds. Fantastic scene, fantastic song, great movie. So I threw that on there. And then all three guys will take off our uniforms in sequence, and we would kind of sponge ourselves down, right? And then splash the water on ourselves on the, "Painted on My Heart" chorus. Then we would prep, kind of play with the girl a little bit, let her sponge us. Then we'll turn around and simultaneously rip out our pants at the correct cue, where we're all wearing the same underwear. That's kind of the revision, and I liked it. I felt like I had a good response. The only problem is eventually I feel like it started to get a little outdated by the fact that the movie was starting to be 10 and 15 years old, as well as the fact that I started to wear a mohawk. And so wearing the uniform headgear didn't really jive with my mohawk. And obviously carrying it out in my hand, though, is somewhat permissible. I felt like it looked a little weird with me having my mohawk, so I moved on. Eventually to other acts. Next one on the list is Boy Scout. Boy Scout was simply a place filler. Sometimes I had to go get my dress white pressed or dry cleaned, or I just went up a third time on stage or something like that. So I needed another act, and they told me about a Boy Scout skit that was already on the record. And so I was like, well, heck, I still have my Boy Scout uniform from when I was a Boy Scout. So I had, next time I went home to Miami, I went ahead and picked it up out of the storage or whatnot, or my mother's garage, and brought it back with me, learned the skit, and just started doing it. And I liked it because it's kind of humorous. I come out pretending to be extremely awkward and kind of cheesy, and I'm earning my stripping badge and whatnot. And it works. I act extremely dorky as I could possibly be, and it really lets the women unwind and laugh and kind of get a good giggle out of it. And then at the end of it, it's like, hey, I'm drinking milk, and milk does a body good. And then I end up stripping and becoming, this sexy, suave, debonair kind of guy who was just playing a Boy Scout. It used to work a lot better. The guy that created it, apparently, I do not know him, but was extremely jacked. So it was where he would barely fit in the costume or the uniform, and then, he would just turn into this huge beast of a man. So it was a little more humorous that way, but you make do what you got. Next comes my first attempt at creating an act, which is my robot act. Still, I'm not gonna lie, this one will always have a special place in my heart. I went through 4 various iterations with this, and what it was is I wanted to put on a show that the club hadn't seen, or at least to me, I thought they hadn't seen it, and to try win a strip off. I believe my first strip off actually might have been the Sexiest Man, because we had Dance Wars, but Dance Wars is kind of like a team event, so obviously I was going for Sexiest Man. And man, let me tell you, so this one I actually hired a local choreographer to help me design stuff, because at the time I could dance but still didn't know how to choreograph. So hired him, and I went over to his place, stayed there for like 2 hours working on music, all kinds of songs and mixing and stuff like that, because I at the time as well did not know how to mix music. So I watched him do him, taking notes, and we kind of went back and forth until we finally finalized the product that I liked. We said, cool, let's work with this. And then over the course of, I want to say maybe the next month, I kept meeting with him at the dance studio and rehearsing and breaking down stuff and kind of letting him choreograph the act. Man, I must have practiced that thing like a madman. I wanted it to be perfect, crisp, really look robotic, and really do everything. And this one, I started to make the costume, and oh man, God, Generation 1. So I bought a Optimus Prime Transformer helmet from Toys R Us and purchased a motocross vest, as well as a spare set of black slacks, right? And these raver gloves with lights at the fingertips. I purchased a bunch of L-wire, hot glued wire all the way around the helmet to outline it, hot glued the wire on various edges of the motocross vest, and then hot glue / sewed, I want to say, lights to the pants, the tearaway pants, the slacks I had turned into tearaways. And then obviously the gloves have built-in batteries and whatnot. And that was my costume. That's what I thought would make me look like a robot. Oh man, it was bad. Oh God, it was bad. And I was really surprised. I went up first for Sexy Man, which everyone that's experienced knows that's horrible. You never want to go first because the judges can't give the very first guy a perfect score. And I ended up doing very horribly in that strip off. But man, I was so proud of that, and I was so lost as to why I didn't think it was great. But in retrospect, the choreography needed to be a little more fun, a little less techno-y, and man, the suit needed a lot of work. So I ended up working on the suit several times over the course of the following years, and ended up swapping out the Optimus Prime helmet because it was very bulky, hard to keep still, my super tunnel vision. It was hard to see when the lights were shining at you. So I found these plastic light masks now. They're kind of like the Jabberwocky masks, but they have L-wire running through them in cool patterns. So I found those. Those are a lot more accommodating, a little less robot looking, but a lot more accommodating. They still have the effect. So I purchased those and went to sweatshirts and ran the lights through the L-wire through those sweatshirts. But that actually obviously was really warm for the guys wearing them, and very the lights had too much movement. It wasn't sturdy enough. So then from there, what else we did with the pants? I think I kept the pants still for a minute. I'm sorry, and it was solo. It was solo when I first started, and then some of the renditions I went ahead and turned it into a group act. I felt like I could do more with it. And then I went to, I guess I went ahead and went to the jumpsuits after that. I feel like there was one more iteration, but it escapes me. So I went ahead and went into the jumpsuits. It's the final generation of it. So I ordered giant blue mechanic jumpsuits. They were fantastic because it had plenty of pockets to put the lights in. They weren't flapping around like they were in the other iterations. The material was sturdy enough where I sewed the lights in with a little bit of slack, but they didn't move very much. They almost kept their shape, believe it or not. I was able to order thicker L wire, so that made it a lot more durable. And I was able to run lights around the arms, around the chest, in the back, and down the legs, and they all kind of created like a single suit. So you literally just had to put on the gloves, the suit, and the mask, and you were good to go. And the back pockets were great for putting in the battery packs, because man, I was going through batteries like a crazy person. Thank goodness I would shop at Costco. I was replacing batteries probably about once a month, and it doesn't sound like much, but when every suit is taking 4, 12, 20 light or batteries, I mean, now you're talking about 60 batteries a month. And sometimes more if I felt like things were going bad or whatnot. And the choreography has been modified a little bit. I incorporated some tutting, which is just crisp hand movements and arm movements that kind of show off that. If you Google it, you can see it. It's a little difficult to explain, which I feel adds a nice aspect and uniformity to the robot feel, but also could be a little underwhelming. And so put in a freestyle as well with a popular Axel Foley theme song from Beverly Hills Cop, for those of you that are in my era. And then finish the act with Beyonce's Put a Ring on It. It's kind of cheesy seeing a bunch of light up people doing this, but at the same time the song is super popular with the women, and everyone sings along while I do it. And I feel like it really, if they were kind of skeptical about the show, it really reels them in at the end. But I feel like people enjoy it. It has zero sex appeal, but it's something different and unique. Never want to strip off with it. That one took a minute. All right, moving right along was Werewolf. Werewolf was my next attempt at creating another act and something different. I honestly, as much as I like werewolves and ghouls and spirits and vampires, I must say werewolves are my favorite. I like the primal aspect of them and just the ferocity that they show. Vampires are fine. I do enjoy them, but I just like the werewolf. I like the primalness of it and the passion that they have and the pack mentality. So I wanted to do something with that. Plus, we had a couple of random vampire things, so I wanted to be different once again. So I found these. Try to pick kind of like the middle line. So guys would wear jeans because we had that. And then I got everyone flannel shirts with these furry werewolf gloves and claws. And I thought they were pretty decent werewolf masks. And the act starts off with us running through the crowd to Celine from Underworld telling the story about the Battle of the Lycans and the vampires. And we're just running around the crowd scaring people. And it was kind of funny because typically I would drag behind the other two dancers a little bit. And whenever someone saw them and kind of pointed and drew their attention to them, I would come up behind them and just post up, and then they'd look and they wouldn't expect me and freak out. So that was fun. We enjoyed that. We go on stage, dance to it's a Kanye song. I can't remember it right now, but I really enjoyed the song, and it was very, with Red Light, I feel like it was very like oomph. It had a lot of oomph to it, so that's why I used it. But obviously I wasn't going to stay with just that, so I went ahead and incorporated a little motif, kind of a crossover where the theatrics, they end up shooting all three of the werewolves, right? But we come back from the dead, so technically we're undead, so I went ahead and threw in Thriller. No one was doing Thriller at the club. It's super popular. Who doesn't know Thriller? So I went ahead and did that. So we come out, do Kanye's part, do a little bit of theatrics where we get shot, and then we come back with Thriller, which ended up being a huge hit. The act was all right. The problem I had with it is I've come to realize that women feel detached from the guys on stage when they're wearing masks. Despite how cool it is or if it's in theme, it's not really until you take it off that they start to gain rapport and like want to approach you, which is something I learned as well with Robot, because once again, people have no idea who's on stage. It's another act, never won anything with it. I believe I might have taken a third place in San Antonio Hard Bodies with it. But once again, I really enjoyed the act. And over the years, I need to bring it back. I've had various people use it. Channing used it for a little while. And just learn it because it's just good. I really enjoy doing it, and I even end up doing it after Dragon Ball or Halloween Ball or something like that. Forgive me, where I was body painted. It was supposed to be like an aqua merman monster thing, but I went ahead and just threw on contacts and fangs and pretend I was a werewolf that night when I did it on stage, even though I sweated like crazy and it dripped everywhere. But that's Werewolf. So next is Doctor. So within the first year, I want to say the first year, I can't remember exactly, give or take a month or two, Angelo, the top man that most of you might have heard his name, passed away. And his opening act was Doctor. It was one of the acts that I always enjoyed seeing because I enjoyed the humor aspect of it. Here's this huge guy with phenomenal physique, always in a good mood. He just radiated sexuality, and then he comes out and just kind of plays with the woman on stage and like breaks the ice. And I love that about that act. So after he passed, I waited a couple of months, let everyone mourn, and when I felt it was right, I went ahead and asked Alex, our owner, hey, I would like to start doing Dr. Angelo skit. Is that possible? And he said, yeah, it's been enough time. Go ahead and use it. And at the time, I went ahead and fortunately had already tearaways made and whatnot and bought all the supplies I needed. And so I began to do it. And it was a huge hit. People felt it fit me well. I played with it. It was a great way to break the ice. You just come out to Bette Midler's Dr. Long John and just kind of play around with the woman, for lack of a better term, or in a nutshell. And eventually, because I started using it for stripograms and road shows, and a lot of it was the DJ interacting with the woman and kind of dictating what you were doing. So I went ahead and added my own sound effects and whatnot to kind of take over from the DJ. So even if I didn't have a DJ and knew what the skit was like, I could still perform it and everyone got the point across. So it's really fun. It's one of my favorites. It's still super easy. It's a solo act, and I've yet to get anyone to really complain about it, except that I use a couple of tools that sometimes I take a little too far, humorously wise, and people may or may not enjoy it. But it is what it is. Still, once again, one of my favorite acts. I probably would be hard pressed to sell it or give it away to anyone, even though I do allow the occasional guy to do it every once in a while, like Axel and whatnot. It is one of my favorites, and a lot of people have started to associate me with it, so that's a huge compliment. And hey, who doesn't have a Doctor fantasy, right? So moving on, this is a doozy, Twin. So Twin, at the time, Damien was living with me. He was a roommate. And in my house, we have a second living room, den, whatever you want to call it, with wood floors. I went ahead and hung up mirrors because it didn't have any furniture, just a fireplace, and called it the dance lab. And there, him and I would rehearse moves, create things, practice, just goof off. And so I was like, look, you're a phenomenal dancer. I'm okay. And we jive really well on stage. We've freestyled on stage several times. And to the point where sometimes we had to stop because we were drawing so much attention, we were taking away from the guy on main stage. So he was down for it. He was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. So we went on YouTube and started YouTubing stuff and found some really neat inspiration. Some of it came from these two gentlemen call themselves Robot Boys. And we took a little bit of their soundtrack, not all of it, a little bit of it, and their ideas. And then we created this mix. And once much like I did with that choreographer years earlier, I did that with Damon. We sat down and created the soundtrack. And when we knew we had it, we liked it, we started working on it. And it was roughly about 8 months worth of work. It wasn't 8 months straight hardcore. There was a little ADD going on, so we went back and forth. And sometimes it was very frustrating because I like to go by the numbers and Damien went by the music. And the music was very intricate. We really wanted to push the limits and do something special that the club has never seen before. And that's exactly what we did. And we come out sitting in a chair and he kind of puppeteers me. And then we both get up. We do a little bit of in-synchronization. Then we do something that I don't think has been seen at the club before, where we all, I get behind him and then we start moving all four of our arms and dancing as if we were one, but doing all kinds of interesting hand movements and stuff that looks really neat standing in front of us. And then we break up, finish off some more sequence choreography that I'd like to think was pushing the limits. And then we put a girl on stage and kind of break it down for her, which typically, honestly, is the most popular part of the act. It's all mainly techno music. We did put a Radioactive, I believe was the song. We put that in there because it was popular at the time, and we put a Trouble from, oh man, what's her name? Taylor Swift, because that was a big popular thing. And we took a power move from the Les Twins, and we called it the Twin Drop, where we both grab each other's necks and we drop in a spin, landing on each other's thighs, and we kind of just sit there and gravitate. It was really neat. I used to love it because it was definitely a wow moment. One of my favorite acts this day. We ended up debuting it for my birthday. I believe it was my first birthday at the club. So yeah, definitely the timing is right because it was just under a year. So yeah, we did it. Huge success. Went on to being one of the top acts in the club. And slowly went ahead and gravitated to being more Damien's act. And now that's his primetime act because I just had a huge arsenal. And so instead of him walking out every time we're doing Pony, and now it's still great because I get to see it all the time. Let's see how we're doing on time. 26 minutes. So yeah, it looks like we might have to break this up into 2 episodes. So I apologize for people, but there's going to be a cliffhanger. So moving right along. Maroon 5. Maroon 5 was originally taught to me by Elvin. Fantastic entertainer, dude who's been along for a long time. Super long hair. I believe, don't quote me, he was Angelo's pseudo-adopted father or whatnot. But he used to dance in Chippendales. And he had this act called that he wanted to teach us. He used to do back in the day. And he said, you know what? I'm tired of doing the crow. I really want to bring this back. I haven't done it in a long time, so would you like to learn it? He ended up teaching myself and Damien it, where it involves 3 chairs. And we kind of start sitting in the chairs, dance in front of the chairs a little bit, jump on stage, whatnot. And then we eventually, halfway through the act, bring 3 women on stage, bring the chairs together in a triangle. We sit them down, and we all take turns dancing on them. The song is called, or the act is called Maroon 5 because it's to Maroon 5's Harder to Breathe. Once again, super popular song. Every time I do it, the crowd is just, everyone's singing along, packs the stage. It's super fun. And Damien and I used to ask him to do it. We had so much fun doing it. It's a really fun act. Simple, clean choreography. It's a little repetitive, but it works. It's one of my go-to acts for primetime for sure because it's just simple sells. And when Elvin retired, I just kind of took it over. I wanted something that was a little less extravagant, a little less theatrical, but yet still fun to the point. And I enjoyed doing it, so I didn't want to stop doing it. So I went ahead and, yeah, I brought it on I started doing it, and it's kind of been mine ever since. Once again, loaned it out a couple of guys. It's easy, so I've taught a majority of the guys, so the guys will do it when I'm not there or something like that. And it's a pretty good go-to act. That's the one a couple of people have asked me for, but I'm hesitant to get rid of it. I'm just a little attached, so I admit I probably should get rid of it, but I'm kind of attached. So we are actually coming up to 29 minutes, and so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm going to make a note of it, though. So, well, I'll go a little over. I'll tell you what, I'll do one more, and then I will cut it for part 2, and I think that's halfway through the acts. So, the last one I'm going to cover for today is going to be my Men in Black act. Men in Black started from 2 ideas. Actually 3, I guess. One thing I learned from Sharp Dressed Man was that women love guys in suits. I enjoy wearing suits, so why not be able to wear a suit on stage, let alone 3 guys wearing suits? I believe maybe Men in Black 3 or 4 might have come out in that time frame, and I kind of wanted to retouch that. Popular movie, popular actors, the women like men in suits, and honestly, I like the theme song. I like Here Come the Men in Black, but I felt like someone told me that might have been done already and it was a little too chill, and so I wanted to use the more hype one, which is Nod Your Head, which I believe Will Smith used for the second one. So, went ahead and used Jason Axel were the guys to help me, and I pretty much only taught them. Choreographed it. We go through the crowd with all kinds of laser sounds and monster sounds. When we end up on stage, I went ahead and do the famous Men in Black monologue that Tommy Lee Jones does, and then finish it with Will Smith, or I believe Axel, coming out and being like, difference between you and me is I make this look good. And then we go ahead and dance to just, I believe, just Nod Your Head. Choreographed it. Could have been better. I'm not gonna lie. I could have cleaned up the choreography a little bit. But it worked. It got the point across. It was fun. Wasn't a big hit delay. And then at the end we finished with me neuralizing everybody. Got an actual neuralizer, put the sound in, and then had the DJ hit the strobe and then shut everything off when I did it. It was a good act. Not great. It was good. But, yeah. Still learning on how to make the act that could win a strip off and win over the ladies. But alright, I will call it here. So once again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening. I hope this adventure into a solo podcast was beneficial or a good thing. If it is, let me know. Give me feedback. Leave comments, complaints, anywhere where you're seeing this on social media or iTunes or SoundCloud or YouTube. Definitely leave something. And since I've been talking about acts, instead of doing a best event, worst event of the week, I am actually going to put a clip of someone that was kind enough, one of my fans that was kind enough to record themselves reacting to the first time they saw one of my new acts. So with that, I hope everyone enjoys it. Definitely check out my reality show that's coming up, Cesar the Crowd Pleaser Contest. And check us out on patreon.com/crowdpleaser. As always, you can find me on Cesar LeBear or Cesar Collazo on Facebook, and Cesar LeBear 7 on Twitter and LeBear. On Twitter and Instagram. Alright, see you guys next time. So very quickly before I play this clip, I wanted to throw out a disclaimer. She did this as a favor to me, an act of kindness, because it is one thing to hear feedback about an act or a performance after the fact when people have had a chance to gather their thoughts, and it's an entirely different animal to listen to the natural reactions firsthand and it means the world to me. But I went and asked permission to post, but just to be on the safe side, I want to go ahead and protect their identity, so I went ahead and changed the pitch of the clip. So no, there's no chipmunk DJing, and it's not 12-year-olds running around in LeBear. It is just that. So yeah, enjoy the show.
I can't hear you first. He looks good in a paper bag. Oh, hi. Oh, yes, please. Oh.
chair. We got Cesar the crowd pleaser in the house.